most of us have read them both now. So, hey
Okay.
everyone, welcome to Egg Harbor Library's book discussion. Welcome also to the NEA Big Read Door County. NEA Big Read is a program of the National Endowment for the Arts in partnership with Arts Midwest. And I'm going to talk a little bit about, if you haven't picked this up, do so at the library, or you can go online and look at it. It explains all of the programs that are going to be happening in the library, but they're all Zoom. So everyone can take part in them, even in Waukesha. And what I want to point out is we're the first to go. We're the first event, which is discussion of Glass Hotel. But we'll talk a little bit about Station 11. But starting on Saturday are all kinds of events. And there's a kickoff on Saturday. And there's some panelists, and they're talking about the importance of the arts to sustain us. And so there's going to be music, and there's going to be some Shakespeare sketches, and that's on Saturday at 1 o'clock. So that'll be really a good one to attend for our book group. But towards the end, and I love that they did this, towards the end of the program is when they bring in the author. Because what usually happens is they start with an author, and then you haven't read the book yet. You don't have any questions. So the author keynote is February 11th for Station 11. And it's going to be moderated by Rebecca Meacham, who's an author and a professor from UW Green Bay. And that is on February 11th at 7 p.m. And then on February 13th is a discussion with Emily St. John Mandel and Patrick Somerville. And what's neat about this is he is the screenwriter for HBO Max. And Station 11 is going to be a series. Did you know that, people?
No.
Now you know. And so on February 13th, he's going to be discussing it. And she is currently doing the screenwriting for the Glass Hotel as a limited series. So she's right now writing that. So on the 13th at 2 p.m., and all of this can be found at doorcountyreads.org. So if it's on, we have a calendar here, and then there's this little book that next time I'll put these out so you can get a hold of these, but it has descriptions. And there's plays like King Lear is going to be performed, and there's going to be a reading from the Penn Players and Third Avenue Playhouse. So lots of cool things. And what's nice is we can do it from the warmth of our homes, which I'm excited about. So that is the Big Reads Door County. And we haven't done an NEA Big Read in a while with NEA and the Endowment of the Arts. So we're back with them and doing lots of great activities with them. So make sure you pick this up or go to doorcountyreads.org and take a look at all the great events happening in the next couple of weeks. But today we're starting with discussing Emily, and I always have to look at St. John Mandel's fifth book. She looks like a teenager, but she's written 5 books, and she lives in New York, and this is her 5th book. And a lot of the reviews are saying this is the best book so far. You know, they love Station 11, but the reviews that I've read really put this, the Glass Hotel, which I should hold up, as being now one of her best books. So she's written 5 books. She's from Canada, Montreal. So I think her very first book.
Vancouver.
Where is she from?
She's originally, her family, this is somewhat autobiographical if you read about her family.
Oh, okay.
Her father's an American who takes them to, this is all from her website.
Okay.
They moved to a small island, and the town that this book is based on is similar to the town she lived in. She moves to Toronto, then she moves to Montreal, then she moves to New York, where she is now. But that's all from her website.
All right. Thanks, Trissa. Hey, I'm going to show you all just a clip. This one book shop in DC, I think it is, always does such great programming. And I'm going to share my screen and show you a little video clip that we'll start with. And don't look at my messy screen right here. All right. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
Okay, so Politics and Prose is the name of the bookshop. I think it's in DC. Anyone? We've heard from this bookshop before. They always have wonderful programming. So we're going to listen to her. She just got done reading a section of the book from the Glass Hotel, and now they're beginning the discussion, and I want you to hear what she says. So let's
the office chorus. So I am going to start off the questions with the elephant in the room. Contagious elephant. After you've just read that wonderful piece of your new book.
Yeah, let's move on to pandemics.
Let's talk about pandemics. I don't know why.
Sure.
So mostly because I want to clear the deck so we can actually talk about it.
That's fair.
So you know, I read, I think you tweeted maybe recently, you know, a lot of people have been saying, you know, read Station 11. Station 11 is the book to read right now. If you're going to read one book, read Station 11. And I think you tweeted something like, please don't read Station 11.
Yeah, like counterpoint, you know, maybe wait a few months. Like, I don't know. Yeah, there was a period of time. I have to say it's eased up a little bit, but about 3 weeks ago, a lot of people on my Twitter timeline, they seemed to be kind of mad that they'd read a pandemic book during a pandemic. And, you know, I wouldn't personally read a pandemic book during a pandemic. You know, your mileage may vary, but I'm kind of anxious enough about this whole situation enough without adding the Georgia flu on top of that. But yeah, so people, on the one hand, there are people who are mad that they read a pandemic book, which, you know, I feel like the jacket copy is pretty clear on that book. Like, you know, it's not a huge surprise, but yeah, but then other people were saying, why don't you read Station 11? And I was looking at that first group on my timeline and thinking, like, how about not? You know, wait a few months. I really appreciate it, but maybe now is not the best possible moment. And yeah, I stand by that, actually.
So, you know, the interesting thing about that is that as I was reading Glass Hotel, of course, there are characters from Station 11 that appear in Glass Hotel. Miranda and Leon are in the book. And so I wondered if you could talk a little bit about that. I know obviously a lot of these folks haven't read the book yet, so I don't want to give anything away, but you know, talking about sort of the thinking there and why you put them in your new book.
Yeah, sure. You know, I've written 5 books and they're all standalone works, but sometimes I just become kind of attached to particular characters. And I feel like there's just more there that I want to write about. And I really want to bring them back for a future project. So when I was writing Station 11, Miranda was one of my very favorite characters. And I knew I wanted to use her again. I also wanted to write again about Leon Provant, who's her boss in Station 11. And I think by the final draft of that book, he barely plays a part. You know, it's like a cameo appearance. But I liked him. You know, in my thinking about him, I wanted to write more about him. But I didn't want readers to, so sorry, to back up a little bit. So I think of them as kind of existing in parallel realities, like an alternate universe type situation. So I tried to lay those tracks in Station 11 with a chapter toward the end in one of the post-apocalyptic sections where two characters, Kirsten and August, are, it's like a kind of game that they play that they've been playing for years and years where they just sort of throw out possibilities of their favorite alternate universes. You know, so an alternate universe where I didn't lose half my teeth because there's no more dentistry. Or one of them says an alternate universe where the Georgia flu never happened. So I wanted to try to lay that groundwork so that I could use a character from Station 11 again and kind of in a work that's set in a different universe. And then in the Glass Hotel, I tried to suggest that again in that chapter with Vincent, where she's walking down the street and she has this habit of basically playing the same game, but just with herself, thinking through different permutations of reality, imagining an alternate universe where, for example, that terrifying new swine flu in the Republic of Georgia hadn't been quite so swiftly contained. So it really, I really just wanted to use those characters again, particularly Miranda. And so I do think of them as being, of those books as being set in parallel realities. But I know that some readers will probably miss that inevitably because it's really easy to miss a single line in a 300-page book. And they'll be reading Glass Hotel, like waiting for the flu to arrive. But it's not coming. But there are no pandemics in the Glass Hotel, I promise. Yeah, it's 100% quarantine free.
Okay, we're going to stop there. I just wanted you to see the connection between the two books. So, all right, did anyone say, hey, I remember that character? I didn't. Did anyone say, oh yeah, I remember that character?
My husband did, because he read them right after another. So he read Station 11, then read The Glass Hotel. So we talked about it, but I thought that the woman died in the first book. And he said that too. He goes, well, she's the one that was standing on the beach and died. And I'm like, well, I remember that. I don't remember the names. I'm like, well, then how did she come back in this book?
Yeah, it's funny. I was Googling Miranda Station 11 last night, trying to go, no, who was Miranda again? In Station 11, because it's been it's been a year now since Station 11 and that I read it. But you know what? Station 11 stayed with me. I mean, I'm glad I'm not reading a pandemic book in a pandemic, but it's one of those books that stayed with you. It was different than anything we read. It's dystopian. And but I wonder if Station 11 would be a good high school book, because high schoolers love dystopian fiction, and this would be a good book for an English class to study all the things in Station 11, because there's King Lear, there's music, there's lots that I think would be good. But so the two books are two completely different books. They're standalones, and the only similarity is she just reused a character, which I don't know that technique with any other authors. I've not seen that. So I don't know. So how do you feel about The Glass Hotel? Was it like, whoa, I love this book, or I like Station 11 better? What were your feelings? I know Trissa really liked Glass Hotel, right?
I found it more approachable. I found it easier to read. Maybe it was because I'd read her before, but I had real problems with Station 11. I had problems of believing it. And remember, we read this a year ago, way before. The first time we discussed it, it was way before we ever even thought about a pandemic, at least I did.
We were foreshadowing.
Right, and I found Station 11 when we read it out there.
Yeah.
It's fiction.
Yeah.
I found Glass Hotel believable because it is, when you read all the reviews, it is parodied on the Madoff scam.
Yeah.
And when you read about her, she grew up in a town like the little island, or on a little island. I mean, the one thing I find fascinating about her, other than what she looks like, and I think she looks like a pixie, is she's a graduate of the Toronto School of Dance.
Oh, that makes sense. She looks like a dancer.
But I just found Glass Hotel more approachable. And if you like or dislike a book, I liked it compared to Station 11.
Yeah.
I found Station 11 upsetting.
And I liked Station 11. Well, I was one of those Hunger Game people that loved the Hunger Games and read all three of those books right away. So I think it's, do you like dystopian? Again, I said high schoolers love dystopian novels. Adults, I don't know. It's not like we have a lot of science fiction in our library. Not compared, if you go to our young adults section, it's like half of it's dystopian. But adults, I don't know. They don't want to touch that. Yeah, I liked Station 11 a lot better than Glass Hotel. That's just me. I wasn't getting into it. Too much was going on for me. The ghosts but then when you read the reviews and they kind of take it apart and they take words out of the book, there were so many great quotes from Glass Hotel. You know, the whole thing about they're living in a kingdom of money. You know, the whole money thing and how he treated his friends and all that was just horrible. So, any other feelings about which one you like better, or you were really into this? After reading her second book, do you want to like go check out her other three books? I mean, is this?
No.
Yes.
No,
Not really.
not me.
Uh-uh.
Not me. There's too many other books I'd rather read. I don't care for that.
Yes.
I found Station 11 unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have to say I read both of them just recently, you know, because of this. And I have to say, reading Station 11 now, I found myself feeling pretty good. Like, whoa, this could have been much worse as far as the ramifications to life.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many more of us surviving this than what happened there. So I felt kind of good about that. But you know, when you were talking about it last month, I thought that they worked together much closer. I missed the one sentence that they referenced in that interview, that there was that the Georgia flu had been contained. So I kept trying to link the two, and at the end it was obvious that there was no pandemic. So I was real confused.
Yeah. That's why I felt it was important to show her talking about the two coming together, because I think a lot of people probably think that. So yeah. So there was when I read the different reviews and they take the books apart, there's so much that they were saying. The main thing, it's a Ponzi story. You know, that's what it is. But it also is a kind of a ghost story too.
Mhm.
And in her interview, I think she talks more about that. And I have to say, that kind of disturbed me, that whole ghost thing, that they were seeing ghosts. Anyone feel weird about that, or understand why they used that ghost, why she did that?
I just assumed it was mostly, you know, with the well, what's his name now?
Jonathan.
That,
Yeah.
you know, that as he was kind of losing his mind in jail, I think that's when they started really showing up. So I just assumed that was part of his disintegration mentally, you know.
Yeah, but Vincent, she sees ghosts. Patrick sees ghosts. I think she sees, just before she dies, I think she sees that woman, the artist, and her mother. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know she saw her mother at that point. But I
Yeah.
took that as kind of like, how they say when you die, your life kind of spins in front of you. So I kind of read it that way a little bit.
Okay. But then Patrick, I think the day that she dies, he sees her. And so that whole ghost thing was, I was having trouble with that. But then if you read like the reviews and that's why I said it would be a good high school book, because they take it apart, and the whole ghost theme is, usually it was the people you wronged that you saw as a ghost. Like Patrick wronged Vincent. He, as a sibling, and also because he stole her work.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Vincent, the whole character of Vincent, which would you think about her like going off with him after the Glass Hotel? Anyone go, oh, what do you think about that? The whole relationship of Jonathan and Vincent.
Is odd. I think this author is odd.
Yeah.
And I've read lots of reviews, and I really want to be open-minded about this, and I really want to learn. But this woman this author, Emily St. John's Mandel, is considered by NPR, by the Arthur Clarke, by the Penn Faulkner people, by all the people that in the literary world are the big awards. She's considered the voice right now. And I don't quite get that. I mean, and I in order to understand her books, I have to read like several reviews and listen to what other people have to say, because I don't see any of that. I think Vincent is really an odd character. I think that the whole hotel is odd. The whole thing that happens is odd. But she's being touted as one of the greatest literary voices of the present time. And I just don't understand that. I'd like somebody else to explain that to me.
And I hope that, I'm going to make sure I'm at when they ask her.
Oh, when they interview her? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because when an author writes, they write a whole book, and then an English class in college or whatever takes it, and then they take it apart, and they said, well, they use this element here. And an author usually says, I didn't know I was doing that. They just write a story. And I wonder if has saying, I'm going to use this element here. I don't know if she completely just writes a story. I'd like to know her process. You know what I mean? Where she's going to say, I'm going to use this element in this story. Because when you take her words apart and some of the different quotes that are in here, they're beautiful. Her writing, her writing is gorgeous. But I did not think that when I read it. I was like, I can't wait to finish this book. Now I got to take a break. I got to watch watch some. I have to binge a TV show or something. I felt like I had to take a break, and so yeah, it's difficult reading. It's difficult. I really think so. And usually when you're reading a book, you feel for a character. You have no feelings for Vincent. She's shallow. She went off with that guy,
Oh, but that was the one choice that life gave her. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. I'm not going to judge her. I'm going to say, what other option did she have, And then she kind of learned, but
She stayed on the island. She could have done a lot of things. The easy option is to go off with Jonathan.
Well, maybe she took the wrong option.
I love that she was on a container ship.
Yeah.
That was pretty bizarre.
As a chef on a container ship. I could see that being a whole book. That sounded really different, exciting.
Well, you were all talking about the ghosts and stuff. I since I hadn't read the book, I quickly opened up the New Yorker review. And what the reviewer says about the ghost, he says, what is a ghost but a hidden consequence made visible? If Al-Qaeda's victims were insufficiently real to him when he stole their money, they acquire an eerie presence after the fact. Mandel is interested in what it means to really see someone, to appreciate the existence of others. In the Glass Hotel, invisibility is conferred to alleviate the inconvenience of caring. So I think these are probably the deeper issues that are saying she's the author of our time. I still don't quite get it. I'm kind of with you, with Trissa in that. But this is what the New Yorker is. You know, they tend to look for the, you know, more obscure kind of themes and things like that.
But I was excited that they chose to do Station 11 as the book, because there's so much. It's too bad we have a pandemic now, but there's so much that that book can offer. The whole Shakespeare and the whole arts, and in the Glass Hotel there were arts too. Vincent and Patrick were both artistic people, and I think the whole getting the camera from her grandmother. And I remember, I think the one line of the whole book that stayed with me is when the grandmother gave her the camera. She said, sometimes you can't see the world for what it is, but you can see through the camera a better world, or something like that. And I remember going, ooh, that's wow. And she did. She saw her world through her videos, which was pretty interesting, that that they were 5-minute clips, and of was it just water, or just 5-minute clips of lots of things? I can't remember exactly those 5 minutes, but 5-minute video clips.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think they were mostly just nothing happening, really, just nature
yeah,
for the most part. So yeah, and she would get irritated. I think there was at one point she was interrupted. They wanted her to stop. Maybe, oh, I know, it was at the swimming pool by the house, you know, when she was living with Jonathan, and a friend asked her to stop, and she was irritated to have to do that.
yeah,
She was really into doing it, whatever her thinking was. I don't know.
yeah. And it was just, her art was for her. It
Mhm.
wasn't to be shared with anyone. And then Patrick did the Unthinkable. He went home and then took it, and which I think that if the book could have gone a different route, where they confronted one another and talked about it, and but that it never. She went and watched, but then left because she couldn't take it. So Patrick stealing her work and her not forgiving him and not talking to him was big.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember there was that sentence in there too somewhere, and I don't remember exactly when she recalled it, but that her mother, when her mother had turned to her at one point when Patrick was leaving, he had been visiting them and he was leaving, and her mother said, you know, Patrick is Patrick, and you, none of him is your fault, or you have nothing, you know, to do with him. And that's my inelegant way, but that kind of struck me. And maybe that's what she was thinking when he took her material, her film. And maybe that was part of her thinking, to not bother with him afterwards, that she was like, you know, it's not my fault, it's his problem or something. I don't know. But
Patrick would excuse himself for all the wrongs that again was not a character you're saying, oh, I can see. No, he would do something wrong and excuse it, you know, find an excuse or get away from it. That whole ecstasy thing was like, oh, shit.
yeah, that was bad.
It was bad. And but he just looking to excuse himself, and then the whole she made his art. I mean, the combination of her with him was his art, and in the end he saw he needed help. and he was at the end in Arizona at a treatment facility. But so that was those two characters were the biggest characters, and yeah, I'm not didn't like either of them. And and there weren't too many characters. I like the wealth. Maybe the artist, that one that gave all these people that gave all their money to him, and Leon's situation.
Mhm.
Did anyone see? I think it was on Sunday morning. There was a Sunday morning on CBS. They were interviewing all these people who do that, who become Leon. You know how Leon is going from place to place for jobs with their RV, and they were showing how people who've lost their retirements do that.
Yeah.
And then I saw Leon, and I well, yeah, I know that happens. That's something that, you know, they go to an Amazon call center and work for a couple of months, and they go somewhere else and work with their RVs. So she uses a lot of things that are actually happening around. And her whole idea of the Ponzi scheme was she was a secretary in 2008 when the collapse, and she wanted to, she chose to write about that.
Mm.
So, does anyone have any other feelings about any of the characters that you want to talk about? And I'll go through some of the questions.
Hello there.
Hi.
I'm Sue Caddy from Lake Geneva. I do have a place in Sister Bay.
Hi.
First time joining you. And
Oh, good.
it took me a minute to get on the Zoom call. So I was on Facebook in the beginning. But I totally agree with all of you. I have no emotional attachment to these characters. I don't care, you know, and that's what you've all been kind of saying. It's hard to understand. Great writer, but I don't care. I don't love any of the people. I think I like Walter in the hotel, the night clerk, better than some, you know, the one who had the ballet dancer girlfriend or whatever. Yeah. So I just wanted to say hi, and I'm enjoying your conversation immensely. We all need brain work.
Yeah.
So,
and human contact.
In the vein of what Sue said, listen to what the Washington Examiner said, and I don't get this. Quote, Mandel's characters are crisply drawn, all sharp lines and living color. Everyone in the book is witty. No one is particularly likable. But taken together, there are overlapping stories that are gripping.
yeah.
I'm not sure I agree with that they're gripping. I agree that she's corrupt. She speaks that the Ponzi scheme, you know, art for the sake of art, which is a whole new way of looking at things. Videos of nothing, which is, you know, I think that she definitely has the beat of the times, but again, I think she's odd.
I agree. I agree. I think she is. You know, it's like art.
I'm glad we're reading her. It opens up our minds, and we all have to stay au courant, or you just, at least I think you do. But I just find her, I can't wait to hear her talk.
Yeah.
and be asked questions about her book, because I saw a Penn Faulkner interview with Stephen King and two other pandemic writers who had written about the pandemic. One was Imaginary. She's a South African, and it was called Afterlife. And the other one was a Canadian woman who wrote about the pandemic of 1918. And the moderator asked them, who do you think is a contemporary writer of yours that's good about pandemic? I'm not phrasing that well. In unison, they all Emily St. John's Mandel, and I'm going, wow. You know?
Wow.
I don't know. I just I don't want to berate this woman, but I just don't understand why she's touted to be as great as she is.
Maybe we'll like her better than her characters.
That's a good point. Well, I already am intrigued by her. I think she looks like she's a 14-year-old pixie.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like she could have a mean bone in her body to me.
She captured some things about the pandemic that other writers haven't. And I think because we're in the midst of one right now, and we could have been so close to actually this happening. I don't think people realize how close we've come to this, and that this isn't the first pandemic. This is the first one we've had to deal with in a serious way in our lifetimes, but there's going to be others. And we need to get our ducks in a row. I think it's a wake-up call. And the fact that she was sort of she wrote this 3, 4, 5 years before,
Yeah.
2015, 14 or 15. So she kind of prescient. I mean, she just had this vision of what this would be like. She'd wrapped her arms around it. And different than the Mad Max ones, which are also post-apocalyptic, violent, and everything's really ugly. She sort of captured. There's a play called Mr. Burns. I don't know. It hasn't been produced very much, but it's hilariously funny. It's a musical, and it's about post-apocalyptic world, very much like this one, where people come together in theater companies, remembering the lines of what they could remember because they can no longer view it electronically. And so there's a whole company around the Simpsons, and they go on, they try to collect their members with who remembers what episode, and they have a traveling company of the Simpsons. And Mr. Burns was the evil character in the Simpsons. And so it's absolutely hysterical. But I maybe because I'd seen that play and I'd seen it in a site-specific old burned-out factory, where we were sort of part of the apocalyptic, vision. I think I got really into it, and so I don't think this book was as unrealistic as you might suspect. The fact of all of these things going away so quickly, all it's going to take is one terrorist attack on our grid, on our communications network. They did a foray into that in Memphis. Somebody did,
Mhm.
and they brought them to their knees for days, and that was just one small building, in the larger scope of things. So, yeah, I thought it was more authentic maybe than some of you did.
Well, yeah, Station 11, as I said, I really enjoyed it. It's just, I don't know if any of you read The Hunger Games. I mean, I like that genre, but I was teaching in a high school at the time of The Hunger Games, and it was read by just about half the population of our high school. They all loved it. And I could see again this Station 11 being a book read in an English class, taken apart. And some of the things in the Glass Hotel, like when Jonathan, he can't understand, his thinking, like, if you don't realize that you're hurting someone, is it really then that you're hurting someone? I mean, some of the things in his mind at the end, what he was thinking, taking all of those thoughts apart, is mind blowing. Some of the things he was saying and his ghost that he was seeing. I also, a couple of characters, her friend that she was close with in New York, and the way they went shopping, and the thought of just buying and not. I was having a hard time with that, when I have to be frugal all the time to just read about just endless shopping and not caring what you're buying, and that Vincent one from having no money to not caring what she was purchasing was just like, oof. I don't know, how'd you feel about those, was that hard to take?
Yeah, I thought that was quite a change, certainly an experience that I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
She was living in what she called the kingdom of money.
money, yeah.
Yeah, and there were they had a lot of different kingdoms or countries in there. Did anyone pick up on that too? There
I
were
picked up on the kingdom of money.
Yeah,
and
there was
all the reviews talk about that, the kingdom of money and the Ponzi theme kind of.
right, yeah. And then there was the shadow country, which I think was where Leon ended up. The
Yeah.
country of the sick and the country of the cheated. So there were, yeah, it was interesting. That kind of stuck out to me, and I thought that was kind of interesting how they were she was kind of, maybe she was justifying it a little bit by saying that's where she lived then, but she definitely, I think, she was aware that she was definitely in a different place than she'd been before.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that place. It would be an experience. I mean, I kind of like to be there once just to see.
Just for, yeah, just for
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah, just for a day.
Back. And we had a Huga speaker. I don't know how many of you were able to, we had a Zoom call a couple of weeks ago with a professor from UW-Madison who talked about the Danish, the Huga method. And he was saying that with money, you have happiness if you make over like a certain amount of money, $50,000. And your happiness goes up to 100,000, you're happy. But and he showed different places going, but being really rich, then you're starting to go the other direction. Like, it's not like happiness. You're not happy if you're poor, but you're happy. And he was showing the money thing and happiness. Did anyone else watch that Zoom? And I've never really thought about that before. Like,
How could he justify that though? I mean, how could he justify that? Because if you had an unlimited income, you have choices. You could be people like Bill and Melinda Gates.
yeah,
Who give away money, like just give it away. Or you could be like Vincent, where you go shopping and buy anything you want. I mean, how can this professor that's a Huga expert justify? I mean, I would, that's what I would have asked him. Because if you have unlimited money, you have unlimited possibilities. And people, it was said earlier that Vincent, what other choice did Vincent have? Well, why did she go off with that guy? I mean, I think you always have choices. There are consequences of your choices, but I'm not sure.
I don't think she was happy when she was with Jonathan. Shopping, nothing made her happy.
I don't think anything did.
No.
But I just don't think that you could, I would want to talk to that Huga guy.
Yeah, you
But
should.
I think what he was saying is that at some point, the amount of money you have exponentially doesn't increase your happiness.
That's what he was saying.
I think that's what he was trying to say.
That's what
because I agree with what you're saying. We could give so much money away. It'd be great rather than shop all day. But he's saying is at some point, your happiness doesn't go up based on the billions of dollars. I think
exactly. That's what.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said it better than I did. So,
well, this is so much fun. I've never talked to anyone except my grandkids.
I've heard that too about the money thing and happiness. I think the level is around 75,000 is where people, that's where it probably peaks. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I had never heard that before. So when you started to bring up the statistics and things like that, it started to make this book like, yeah, those people were not happy. They weren't.
Well, I have heard it said that people who make a lot of money, for some, and I was going to say men, they're probably men or women, it becomes a game to get more money. So there's never enough. Okay, I've reached this level, but I gotta make more money. And so they aren't happy because they just want more all the time. So I don't know what the level of happiness, but I've heard that too. Upper 75 to 100,000 is about what you need to meet your needs and be content. You don't need any more than that. What else can you buy?
It's interesting because Hygge is based in Denmark, and there are different expectations in Denmark than there are here, I think.
Yeah.
And also a system that has fostered live within your means, be happy with what you have. And that is not what we foster in this. I don't think that's what our system fosters.
And
I think the system
stressed
fosters
that.
what Joanne is espousing, that it's a game. More.
Yeah. And he stressed that in that discussion, and I'll share the link with everyone. So if you want to take, listen to that. But he did stress that in Denmark, we take care of your health care. You don't have to worry about that. We take care of this, your retirement. You don't have to worry about that. And the things you have to worry about are less now.
Yeah.
And if you think about what we worry about, when am I going to get that vaccine? You know, we're worried about our health care. We're worried about, so I think he was right on with, and that's the Danish, the whole Scandinavian way of thinking. So, I'm looking at the time. We've got 10 minutes left. Any remaining thoughts on our book?
Well, I did not read The Glass Hotel, so I'm not able to make any comparisons between the two books, but I must say I kind of enjoyed Station 11 because it opens up your thinking to, well, what would happen if we lose all this? So I enjoyed it. Did anybody read or hear of the book The Road by Cormac McCarthy?
Oh my gosh.
If you want to read a dark book, that is a really
that book will never leave me. Oh my God. I'm like, why did I read this book? It's still with me today.
Yes, me too. It's awful. He also wrote No Country for Old Men, which was also that was a movie that I just would like to forget too.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought it opened my thinking to, okay, we would be without electricity. We would be without the internet. We would be how would you get food? I mean, it's just, wow. It makes you appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a quick comment.
Sure.
Am I live?
Yes, you are.
I tried to wave to you before, but you didn't see me. Patrick Somerville grew up in Green Bay. He went to school with my kids. Ooh. And he's had three books, I believe. One was very science fiction oriented. His first one, The Cradle, was fantastic. And we discussed it in a different book club, and we got him online. And his mother lived in Sturgeon Bay for quite a few years, but she's now moved to California. And he was in Chicago now. He's moved to California, but he has big Wisconsin connections. Very bright young man.
So make sure you all listen to him. It's on February 13th at 2:00. And he's written This Bright River and The Cradle. And
The Cradle was fantastic.
Yeah, so I will also put all that out on our Facebook page for you. But if you get a chance, I'm really looking forward to hearing. I think The Glass Hotel would make an exceptional mini limited series. I think it would be fantastic. She's writing it now. After reading that book and seeing like that part of the British Columbia, and then seeing New York and the whole Ponzi thing, I think that make a great book. I think Station 11, and they even showed some of the actors that were going to be in it. I think that will be a great series. I would watch that. So he is going to be the screenwriter for Station 11. So that's on the 13th. So everyone, please take a look at that website, DoorCountyReads.org, or pick this up at the library. Great stuff. So Myra, did you like the book?
I read Station 11 quite a while ago, and I was kind of wishy-washy about it, but I like the Glass Hotel. I lived in Vancouver for 8 years, but I'd never been to that point of that island.
Yeah. And that is made up place, but it's a real, she spent time there in the, where
Right.
she describes it. I would love a hotel like that, that's all glass walls and looking out on nature and no cell phone. That'd be my.
Yeah, we visited one like that on the Olympic Peninsula once, looking out near Washington, near Seattle.
Yeah, very nice. Well, anyone have any questions about the big read? We're glad that you all attended. Our next book, oh my gosh, is so good. The Vanishing Half.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. I had to take a break after Glass Hotel. As I said, I binged a TV show after that because I'm like, I have to take a break. And then I picked up this and read it like in a couple of days. And it's by Britt Bennett. It's The Vanishing Half. It is literally so hard to get right now. It's just taken off. I had to purchase copies for our book club because we're way, the list of people who want to read this book is really long. And it's a wonderful story. The Vanishing Half. Really
What's it about?
It is about twins in Louisiana. They're born to a black in a black family, but they look white.
And it's about.
Well, no, one of them looks white and one of them looks black.
No,
Both look white. They're
no,
identical.
they both look white, Jess. The granddaughter looks black.
Okay, got it. I guess
I read it. I picked it up yesterday and I finished it last night. So if someone needs a copy of the book, please, I agree. If someone needs a copy of the book, please messenger me and I'd be more than willing to lend you mine. It's also about gender equity issues.
Yeah.
It's also about gender issues.
Lots of issues are touched in here.
But it's page turning. I'm serious. I started it yesterday morning at about 7 a.m. and that's all I did yesterday. That is one blessing of the pandemic. You don't have guilt about doing, at least I don't. You don't have guilt about a day like that, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Thank you all for letting me join you. I have to run. My 5-month-old puppy is scratching at the door. Gotta go.
Everyone, thank you for coming today and hope to see you next month with The Vanishing Half. You'll love it. And please join us at the other NEA Big Reads. We were at the very first event. There are many more. And it looks like there are lots of different discussions on Station 11. So if you read the book and we didn't give you justice, please check out another book club for Station 11. But thanks again, everyone, for coming. And
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.